Last week in sports, this is week 5. We're here to talk about the NFL week 5. Basically, watched last week. We went through Draft Champions 2. This will be our second game in Draft Champions. See the controller? We can just go through our lineup, give a little recap. We drafted Kaepernick as our quarterback. We got Giovanni Bernard as our halfback. Receivers aren't too good, but we really built a solid offensive line. We have Jason Witten at tight end, and then our defense is pretty solid. We got Dansby, Devin McCourty back there. It's a solid team. And then Bruce Smith. You can't forget Bruce Smith on our right end. What did we do last week? Last week I think we won a real low-scoring game. I think we can check our progress. It doesn't matter. We got the win. That's all that matters. That's basically a recap of that. Obviously, we're here to talk about Week 5 in the National Football League. Some pretty decent games. I think it was 4 overtime games, 3 overtime games, something like that. Let's just jump right into the scores. Thursday night we had Indianapolis and Houston. Indy ended up winning 27-20. Houston, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just seem to want to go back and forth between two quarterbacks. I don't know, quarterback by committee in mid-game. I don't know. It's kind of like college. It's a little weird, but...
I just loved the look on Mallett's face when he got taken out, or when they didn't let him back in the game.
Oh, that was ridiculous. Like, why would you let him have... Why would you... name him the starter, and then when he gets hurt, not put him back in, and then let Brian Hoyer take over. It just doesn't make any sense.
And then now who's starting next week?
No one knows.
I think it's Hoyer.
It's probably Hoyer.
Yeah. You would think.
I think he's already announced it.
Well, I wouldn't start Mallett after how he reacted to that anyway.
What do you expect?
He was pouting. He was like a little kid if you just knock his ice cream on the ground. That's the same face that he was making.
Yeah, but if you think about it, it's the same guy that pouted and skipped practice after the first... When he first didn't get told he was a starter. Yeah. It's the same thing. Indianapolis was again without Andrew Luck. They turned to Matt Hasselbeck, and they decided farther time. They returned back the clocks. Hasselbeck finished with 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. Both of his TDs actually went to Andre Johnson, who also turned back the clock. He hasn't been playing too good this season. It was basically his first good game.
It's a revenge game right
there. Which makes you think that's not going to happen again.
Yeah.
T.Y. Hilton also finished with 88 yards receiving. Frank Gore, again, another person turning back the clock.
Yeah.
He amassed 98 yards and a touchdown. It seemed like a game that... It doesn't seem like the Colts are going to be able to keep this up. Not with the people that are playing good.
I don't think so.
On the Houston side, though, as we were talking about, Mallett was knocked out of the game early. And then when he was cleared to come back in, O'Brien was like, nah, you can stay on the bench. We're going to ride with Hoyer for now. And Hoyer played all right. I mean, he threw 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, but his interception that he threw was in the final minutes and basically stopped the comeback that Houston was on.
That was bad. You see the head coach's face right after that, too? He was yelling at him. He's like, why would you throw that?
It makes no sense out there. I don't know. Houston has some playmakers. Not a lot, but some.
Yeah,
Hopkins, Foster, if you can stay healthy. Rookie I'm really intrigued by, who had a good game, is Jalen Strong. It was his first game. So we'll see if he can keep it going. Strong finished, I think, with a touchdown.
Yeah, he did.
Just one touchdown.
Sure. Yeah.
On the next game, New England and Dallas. New England ended up winning 30-6. This was Greg Hardy's first week back after suspension. He had 4 games, much the same suspension that Tom Brady was initially given. But anyways, Greg Hardy was not shy about, just not showing any remorse for his suspension. Like, he basically didn't learn anything. He was already talking about gun puns and
doing Brady's life.
Doing Brady's
guns blaring. He said.
Yeah, there's a lot of gun puns, which is kind of a hard thing to say. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. That gun pun. I don't know why, but he talked about that, and he was really into Brady's wife and Brady's sister, Brady's wife's sister. Apparently, he was really hoping they're gonna be at the game. But
to be honest, I'm into Brady's wife, but I mean. To be fair.
Who is it?
But still, you don't say that.
Yeah, not on that. It's especially when when Pat's already fired up. Why would you give him more motivation?
Yeah,
it made no sense.
It's the last thing that you want to do.
But Hardy came out. He played really good. I was impressed. He didn't play the full game because he's obviously not in game shape yet. But he looked good. Him and the whole Dallas D line was on fire. They had 5 total sacks, I think. Pressured Brady all day long. Really rushed him. But it only happened. It only lasted for a little bit as the Pats really adjusted and they came out and just.
The second half was a completely different.
Yeah,
story.
it was ridiculous. And you can't blame the Dallas defense. Dallas's offense is awful. Brandon Whedon is not a starting quarterback. Not that Matt Castle is either. But that's who got named the starter for next week. So we'll see about that.
They might as well switch it up,
Dallas's offense, they just couldn't keep up with the Pats. They didn't score a single touchdown, obviously. Brandon Whedon's awful.
He's terrible.
Doesn't make any sense why he's starting.
All those short passes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, next game we had Atlanta defeat Washington 25-19. This was an overtime game. Surprisingly, Washington's playing a lot better than I've been expecting. They've been staying in games. Atlanta's one of the last undefeated teams. The fact that it took them all the way into overtime to actually defeat them. And the game actually, so the overtime, Washington got the ball first, and I think it was I forget what play number it was in the overtime, but Kirk Cousins dropped back, and it was a pick 6. So
it doesn't surprise me really.
Yeah, Washington's defense definitely played pretty well. They kept Matt Ryan without throwing a touchdown, held him to 254 yards. Just Cousins just didn't play good, and it just didn't look good. Devontae Freeman, on the other hand, he played awesome. That's his 3rd week in a row. Yeah. He's up over 150 yards.
Ridiculous.
He looks like he's going to be pretty solid.
Yeah, he was coming out as a rookie, and there was a lot of hype on him. He just didn't get the chances behind Steven Jackson. Mm-hmm. I think the head coach there, what's his name? Shit.
New one, old one.
The new head coach.
Oh, Dan Quinn?
Yeah, Dan Quinn. I think he's doing a lot with development.
Yeah.
I don't think Mike Smith before was really into rookies because obviously Freeman didn't get a chance behind Jackson, and Jackson was all washed up.
Jackson really wasn't that effective when he was on Atlanta.
No, it was bad. Next one we have Cincinnati and Seattle. Cincinnati came up on top 27-24, and what was probably the game of the week. Yeah. Hell of a game. Basically, Cincinnati came back from being down 24-7 in the fourth quarter. There's another overtime game since he scored 20 points unanswered. Andy Dalton really played amazing in the second half.
He's shutting me up so far.
It's not the playoffs yet though. It's not the playoffs, so it's okay.
Very true.
And we'll see as the season goes along. I think he's definitely playing good. The whole team's playing pretty good. When you have those kind of playmakers on offense, though, it's hard not to play good.
Very true.
But because he started out pretty bad in this one, and then he definitely got used to, adjusted. Seattle, I don't know what's up with them anymore. Their offense is atrocious. I know they were missing Lynch this time, but you got to play better than that.
Yeah.
They just looked awful. But anyways, Andy Dalton finished with 331 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. He threw a pick, but it's Seattle's defense, so it's expected. Mm-hmm. Bengals couldn't really run the ball, so Dalton really bailed them out on that one.
Yeah.
On to our next game, Green Bay and St. Louis. Green Bay won this 24-10. I gotta stop saying that's fucking terrible. The Rams defense, they played pretty well in this game. I'm gonna keep track of all my ums now.
Can we get like an track?
Probably gonna have to at this point. That's gonna make me have to listen to this whole thing. I don't want to do that. But the Rams defense played pretty good. The fake. Why would you do that with the fake?
That's why I do that with the fake.
Alright, fair enough.
There it is.
Anyways, Rams defense played really well for most of the game. The Rams offense, though, is pathetic. Nick Foles.
With the exception of Todd Gurley.
Yeah, you're right. Todd Gurley is
a beast.
I think he was up 159 yards
on
30 attempts. He couldn't get in the end zone though, so it's a big thing.
That'll come.
But what did Nick Foles? Nick Foles threw 4 interceptions. He had a touchdown, but the sad thing is Aaron Rodgers didn't play that good in this one. He threw 2 picks.
Yeah.
And they just
first 2 at home for what, 500 something ridiculous attempts.
Yep. Since 2012, I think it was.
Yeah, it's insane.
The Rams, even though you can call it a moral victory, I guess, but they actually ended up losing Chris Long as he hyperextended his knee, which is going to hurt their D line.
That's a big loss.
Yeah. The Packers remain undefeated at 5-0, of course. So they're going to be tough to beat, I think, all year. They might be one of the teams 14-2, 15-1. I don't think they'll go undefeated, but they'll be there. They'll be up there.
Definitely.
Buffalo against Tennessee. Buffalo ended up winning 14-13. The Bills rallied from 10 down to beat the Titans as Rex Ryan could not get his offense going until the third quarter. That offense, they're missing Carlos Williams, LaShawn McCoy, Sammy Watkins.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor got hurt this week. He might miss next week. I was surprised. I thought Tennessee had this one, but that Tennessee defense didn't know how to stop Tyrod Taylor in the second half.
Yeah,
he rushed for 100 something yards.
His legs.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. Tyrod Taylor, he's definitely still figuring things out, but I'm liking him a little more as a quarterback. I think once he gets his pocket awareness down, he'll be pretty good.
Very true.
But Mariota could not figure out that Buffalo D-line. The Buffalo D-line caused havoc on him. Mm-hmm. They're going to cause havoc on a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to see them finally starting to get going under Ryan because they should be doing a lot better than
that. A lot less penalties. Was it 7 this week compared to 17 last week?
Yep. This win actually moved the Bills to 3-2, so they're above 500, keeping pace up there with the Jets and New England. Surprisingly, the Titans actually fell to 1-3, which kind of sucks, but
it's expected.
They're not expected to do much. In a surprising game, to you guys, to me, Chicago ended up defeating KC 18-17. Another come from behind game. They were all over the place.
That was a shocker.
Yeah. Chicago was trailing 17-6 heading into the fourth quarter, and KC's defense was doing real good, pressuring Cutler all day long. And
he wasn't having a good first half at all.
But again, Cutler injuries everywhere. Cutler was missing Jeffrey and Eddie Royal.
Yeah.
So you have no one to throw to. It's tough. But after KC lost Jamal Charles to his 20 ACL, that was the second quarter. They didn't know what to do on offense. Being such a conservative team, they always want to run the ball. Nice pick. And once they couldn't do that when Charles went down.
No.
Which kind of sucked, but I don't think KC's going anywhere this year. I had them high in the beginning of the season, but I don't see them doing much now.
And when you lose your best player on offense, it's kind of tough to go anywhere.
Absolutely. But anyway, so yeah, after Robbie Gould field goal, Cutler completed a 20-yard TD pass to Marquise Wilson, and then he completed another TD pass to Matt Forte, and that gave the Bears the lead with 20 seconds to go, and that was all they wrote. KC falls to 1-4, which is
that's tough.
Not good.
Yeah.
On to Philadelphia and New Orleans, another disappointing team. Both disappointing teams.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty bad. Philadelphia won 39-17. New Orleans fell to 1-4. They just looked awful on offense and defense. It's just pretty bad out there.
Mess, yeah.
What was it? Rob Ryan and Sean Payton were arguing on the sideline during this one. Things just not looking good.
That was an amazing
nice. It's surprising too because they traded Jimmy Graham for a center. Offensive line, it hasn't been playing real well.
Oh.
And then Jimmy Graham out in Seattle, they don't use him. So it looks like a trade that just completely hurt both teams and hurt both players because now both players aren't playing to their strengths.
Yep.
And it's just, I don't know. At least Philadelphia is starting to turn things around. Sam Bradford didn't look good in the first half, but in the second half, he settled down and finished with 333 yards and 2 touchdowns. In the first half, he threw 2 red zone picks. Not the best of things, but Philly's defense really played pretty decent. I was surprised. They sacked Drew Brees 5 times, and DeMarco Murray got his 30 carries. Or is it 20? I think it's 20 carries. pretty sure it's 20 carries. Because he rushed for 83 yards and a touchdown. Ryan Matthews, I think, ended up with 75 yards on 9 carries, so a little bit of an efficiency thing there. But, it's actually moved to Philadelphia, though, to 2-3, which keeps them in contention in that division out there. So you got the Giants at 3-2, Dallas at 2-3, and Philadelphia at 2-3.
It's up for grabs.
It is until Romo and Dez come back.
Yeah, it's gonna change.
If Dez can figure, if the Cowboys can figure out their quarterback situation, they'll run away with that division once everyone comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Press R3. There you go. Next game, we had Tampa Bay defeating Jacksonville 38-31. Doug Martin, the muscle hamster, he looked pretty good in this one. 123 yards and 3 touchdowns. Having this run game is really helping Winston play a little better. Keeps the pressure off of him. He finished with 209 yards and a touchdown. Jacksonville looked pretty good, but it just basically came down to kind of who got the ball last kind of game. Though Jacksonville's defense did not look good. If you're giving up 38 points to Tampa Bay, and I take that back. So their offense looked good. Bortles threw for 303 yards and 4 touchdowns. Good bounce back game for him. This game went back and forth. Jacksonville jumped out to a 7-3 lead after a Bortles pass to Allen Hurns. Then Winston found Doug Martin for another touchdown, and just back and forth. And then what really killed them in the end was with Jacksonville up 24-23 in the second half. It was in the third or fourth. In the fourth, my bad. Jacksonville ended up fumbling it, and Tampa Bay ran it back for a touchdown. They just kind of ran away with the game after that. Here was another good game. Surprisingly, Cleveland ended up defeating Baltimore 33-30. This was overtime game. Yep. I was surprised. McCollum's playing out of his mind right now.
Out of nowhere.
I think he had 457 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and he rushed for another one. That was pretty good. Joe Flacco countered with 210 yards and a touchdown and 2 rushing touchdowns, but for what he's getting paid, it's not.
It's not enough.
It's not enough at all. The play of the day, possibly the play of the year.
My man.
Cowan found Gary Barnidge for a ridiculous end zone touchdown. You'll have to watch it. I'll try to post the link of it in our notes or in our description. But basically, Cowan threw it up, and I don't even. You probably watched the play live. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, it's tough to describe.
Yeah, it was crazy because he had his great play last week, right?
Yeah.
And then he comes up with this one. It's insane.
Yeah, basically,
the ball bounced around and he caught it between his legs or his thighs.
Yeah, and it never touched the ground, and he pulled it in and rolled into the end zone, and it was amazing. But back to the game, McCowan marched him down the field, found Isaiah Crowell for a 22-yard touchdown. This gave them the lead at 30-27, and then Baltimore tied the game with a field goal. And then in overtime, Baltimore couldn't score in their opening drive, and Cleveland just marched down the field and kicked a field goal for the win. Kind of unexciting, but exciting at the same time. It was good for Cleveland to see them start getting some stuff going.
It's good to see some playmakers on that team.
Yeah, definitely. They do have some nice young talent.
Yeah.
Let's drop to Baltimore though to a 1-4. I know in the beginning of the year people were talking about how they would still make the playoffs. I don't see them making the playoffs now.
No, definitely not.
I know that division's still a little weak, but 1-4.
Cincinnati at 4-0.
Cincinnati's 5-0.
5-0.
True.
Right now, Cincinnati's got the division. Everyone else is playing
easily. Because what? It's Cincy, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's gonna get big
Baltimore
soon.
Cleveland. No, Indy's not in that division.
You're right.
It's Cleveland's the other one. You're right. Cincinnati's 5-0, so that division's pretty much locked up there. And then 1-4 is not going to get you into the wild card though, so it doesn't matter. Next game we have Arizona defeated Detroit 42-17. Does anybody here still think that Matthew Stafford should be an NFL quarterback?
Nope.
All right.
Not in the least bit.
So we can skip by that one. Just kidding. I'll give you the quick one. Matthew Stafford got benched after throwing his 3rd pick of this one. Arizona's rushing attack couldn't be stopped. Andre Ellington was back. Chris Johnson rushed for over 100 yards. Arizona defense is pretty good. They definitely needed that bounce back game after losing last week. Next game we got Denver and Oakland. Denver ended up winning 16-10. Peyton Manning again did not do what he had been doing.
Oh my god.
It's a terrible fumble. Good job. Manning had a couple good games in a row, but this one he looked awful. And again, I think he ended up throwing 2 picks. He now has more picks than touchdowns on the season. First time since his rookie season.
That is rough.
Which was what, in like 1880? Something like that.
He's best friends with Lincoln.
I think he was there at Lincoln's assassination, right? That's what it was. Yeah. Denver's defense, though, looking pretty good as usual. So they basically held them. And they're gonna keep winning games for Denver. But in my opinion, we'll get to this a little bit later, I think Denver might be the most vulnerable 5-0 team, considering they have no rushing game and they only have no passing game, really. I mean, they have 2 great wide receivers, but they don't have anybody to throw the ball.
Manning's going to get him killed, too.
His little wobbly-ass passes coming in.
And they lay out for him because it's Peyton Manning. You got to lay out for him. But.
Do you think he still demands the same kind of respect, even though everyone knows that he's on the decline? Like in the locker room,
because his mental is still as high as it's ever been.
Definitely. I mean,
he's still Peyton Manning's brain.
I understand the whole concept of you got to think you're the best to compete with the best, but at some point you got to be able to be like, I'm hurting the team more than I'm helping it, and I personally think with that defense, anybody could step in there and basically play the way he's playing, and lead that team.
Fair enough.
I don't know. That's on the other side of the ball, Oakland, they're definitely looking promising. Derek Carr finished 249 yards and a touchdown and pick. Their run game wasn't. It was a disaster. I think they finished with like 40 total yards or something like that. It was not looking good. But I mean, it's Denver's defense, so it's tough in general. But I think they're set up pretty good for a good future as long as they keep drafting well.
Yeah, it's not a finished product yet.
Definitely.
Getting there.
Next game we got New York Giants defeated San Francisco 30-27. Another game right down to the wire. Eli Manning got a little bit of luck, but came down and finished the drive after a couple picks got called back, and he got a lot of help, I should say. It would have been classic Eli Manning to choke that game away, but they ended up doing it a lot better. San Francisco's offense actually looked a ton better. Oh my God, Kaepernick looked light years ahead of where he's been. Carlos Hyde looked really good, which it helps when you can pass the ball to have a rushing attack. Basically, end of this one, Eli completed a comeback drive, capping it off with a nice 12-yard touchdown to Larry Donnell that really made Pats fans reminisce back to 07.
Flashbacks.
It wasn't quite as crazy. Yeah, I know, you get a little tingle and you get a little like nightmares and stuff.
Something in the middle of my spine that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Basically, Donald was double covered, and Manning threw it up, and like he caught it like with his like fingertips, like he was up in the air, and it was just barely there. It was an impressive catch. It shouldn't have happened. Eli Manning again got lucky. I know a lot of the news anchors and a lot of the ESPN whores like to say that Eli Manning's elite. This is like the perfect Eli Manning, but I don't think so. You watch the game,
perfect Eli Manning throwing it up there.
Yeah, he had so many
hit for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm just gonna back foot it and lob it in there. I mean, he had a couple of good passes in the game, but on the other side, Kaepernick had some good passes too. So, I mean, I'm not saying they're on the same level, but it wasn't. I still don't think Eli is elite. But this gives the Giants their 3rd win in a row and gives them the division lead. So, I mean, as long as they keep winning and Dallas keeps losing, they'll be in the playoffs, surprisingly, because that division sucks. Monday night game, last one of the week. We had Pittsburgh defeating San Diego 24-20. Hell of a game. I mean, but it was a hell of a game in excitement, I guess. Or I don't know if you can, but it. Again, I don't know how. I don't know who's making the play calls down there. I don't know if it's Mike Tomlin or if it's Todd Healy.
Todd Healy, yeah.
Healy, whatever. It's awful, though. Just god-awful. The last play of the game, Pittsburgh's down by 3, 20-17. They have the ball on the 1-yard line, like 5 seconds to go. And Pittsburgh comes out, and they run the Wildcat for the win.
Which is risky.
It's
with
beyond
5 seconds left.
And they had a timeout.
To go back in the shotgun, no matter who's back there.
Yep.
Yeah.
It made no sense. Like, if you're gonna make a play, just take in the shotgun and throw a ball, throw a quick pass, hope for an incompletion, whatever. You have another timeout, so it doesn't matter. But it was just awful, awful play call. And even the whole play was lucky as hell, because if you watch Le'Veon Bell, he just direct snap to Le'Veon Bell, and he takes the ball left, and he bounces off a couple blockers. So, like, he should have been stuffed in the backfield, but he wasn't. So, I don't know. I don't think Mike Tomlin should have a head coaching job, personally. I know he has a Super Bowl champ, but I don't care. Not a good coach. So, yeah, basically the scores. I'll run through my power rankings as an update. Did you give a touchdown?
No, he dropped it.
Good. As my updated power rankings through week 5. If you guys ever disagree, just, give me a holler. Number 1, I got the Pats at 4-0. Can't disagree with that. Number 2, we got the Packers at 5-0. Number 3, we got the Bengals at 5-0. Number 4, I got the Falcons at 5-0. Number 5, Arizona Cardinals at 4-1. And then number 6, I have the Broncos at 5-0. I know a lot of people are going to say that's a little controversial, but the Falcons, I think they're playing a little more complete game. The Cardinals, I think, are playing a more complete game. I know they had their hiccup against St. Louis last week, but until Denver proves me something on offense, I don't see how you can put them ahead of them.
Yeah,
ahead of the Cardinals. Number 7, I got the Panthers at 4-0. Again, they have a big game coming up. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. We got the Jets at 3-1 at 8. Seahawks at number 9. 10, we have Buffalo Bills. I don't want to put them there. I don't think they're a top 10 team, but in this league right now, it's not. Who else do you put up there?
Yeah.
In reality.
Yeah.
The 11th spot, I got the Vikings. 12th spot, I got the Giants. 13th spot, I got the Steelers. 14th spot, I got the Cowboys. 15th spot, I got the Colts. I got a question for you guys for the Colts here. When Luck returns, if he's still playing as bad as he's been playing, do you bench him and go with Hasselbeck?
No.
I
But
think you can.
To win a game?
To
win the game.
I understand.
Come down to it, win a game. Win a division.
Would I or will they?
Either or. I mean,
because
you've already heard Pagano's fighting for his job.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he's going to be back next season. I don't know.
I just don't see them doing that. I don't know.
You're right. They probably won't, but it's interesting.
Fuck.
I don't think you're right. They'll never do that, but
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck was the
It is
number
an
1
interesting
pick. You
point.
can't really. I mean, I guess you could bench him, but to bench him for like a 36-year-old quarterback, that's kind of.
nah, you're right. I agree.
What does that do for his psyche? You know.
I saw something today though. It is interesting because Luck still, even having not played 2 games, I think he has the most interceptions.
Yeah, it's bad. He's been playing awful this season. So we go number 16 to the 20th spot. I'll rally these off real quick. 16, we got the Rams, then the Eagles, then the Redskins, then the Chargers, then the Browns. 21 to 25, we got the Raiders, the Ravens. The Ravens, who are still the best, worst team in the league, because I still think there's talent there, but for whatever reason, they can't put it together. Then you got the Bears, then Kansas City, who's just falling. And then 25 through 32, you got the Titans, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Dolphins. I think they'll bounce back, though. They'll start moving up a little bit. You got San Fran, then you got the Jaguars, then you have New Orleans, then the Texans, and, of course, the lowly Lions. Because, the Lions are 0-5, and they're about to... I don't think they'll go 0-16 again, but
No.
it's quite possible.
They're a mess right now, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, next segment I want to talk about, games to watch in Week 6. These are my highlighted games, basically. First game, Carolina at Seattle. Probably going to be the biggest game of the week. because both teams need it as a prove-me game. Carolina's 4-0. Seattle's 2-3. But Seattle needs a win badly. And if Carolina wins this game, they will basically prove that they're a legit team. Mm-hmm. And Cam Newton can play without anybody on that side of the ball. Yeah. My second game to watch is the Giants at the Eagles on Monday night. Both teams need to continue to play well. Both teams need a win to stay within that division. So should be a good game. Should be a lot closer than a lot of people think. And then my third game of the week is, of course, New England at Indianapolis. And
how can you not want to watch that?
Besides the fact that how can you not want to watch it? How can you... just leave it at that. I don't want to say anything, show my bias, opinion of the Pats. Personally, I think they're going to win by 45 points. Probably going to try to put like $100 down the spread.
They're going to put as many points up on the board as they possibly can.
And I think it's saying that Luck's coming to play. He's going to play, but I don't think it's going to matter, personally. That offensive line is terrible, and the defensive front seven for New England's looking pretty good. This is something I really want to talk about. We got the undefeated teams, and I'm going to run through the schedule, and I want to know which one you guys think is going to stay undefeated, or when do you think one team's going to lose, pretty much. So we got New England at 4-0, right? Next games are at Indy, at home against the Jets, at home against Miami, at home against Washington. Against the Giants, at New York. Then you're at home against Buffalo, at Denver, at home against Philly, at Houston, then Tennessee at home, at New York Jets, and then at Miami.
Yeah, they're not losing any of those.
You can say that, but getting their bye week so early, I think, personally, they're going to lose at the Jets.
Think so?
In week 16. I think that's going to be their toughest game.
You know what? I could see it also because I feel like it's possible that they get to that point and they say, we're in the playoffs, let's start resting some people.
Yeah, exactly.
But then on the other hand, this is Bill Belichick and Tom Brady we're talking about, so if they're undefeated at that point...
I don't think they're going for it. They know what happened last season. Out of the 07, I don't think they...
You know what? That's a good point.
I don't think they care about being undefeated.
Say screw the undefeated season, let's win another Super Bowl.
Back-to-back Super Bowls looks a lot nicer than any undefeated season.
That's true.
And then losing again in the playoffs. So I personally think their toughest games are going to be Jets at home. That's a great defense. Mm-hmm. At Denver. But personally, I don't...
At Denver because of the defense.
My biggest thing...
Because of their defense and the weakness in our secondary.
I want to point out... I meant to point this out before. I made a note of it. Pissed I didn't point it out before. I was looking through Denver's teams that they've beaten so far. And it's not impressive. Their defense has played well against Baltimore, Kansas City, Detroit, Minnesota, and now Oakland. How are those They're not offensive teams. They're not tested. Their defense is not tested
yet. We have to wait till they play.
Yeah, again, I'm not taking anything away.
Which the thing is, though, this year there's only like
a
few good teams.
Yeah. Which we'll dive into right now. Denver's 5-0. They got They got at Cleveland. I think they're gonna win. Then they go on their bye. Then they got Green Bay at home. That's the game right there. We don't have to go any further. They're gonna lose there.
Green Bay's gonna win that one
easily. They're gonna lose that game. I think
Aaron Rodgers is gonna expose that defense.
I think so. I don't know. Their defense can play good.
They're a good defense, but combined with how good Green Bay's defense is playing right now, Green Bay's got one of the best defenses.
So let's jump into Green Bay. They're 5-0. They got San Diego. They got their bye. They got at Denver, which we already said they'll win. Then they got at Cincinnati. No, they don't. My bad. They're at Carolina. They should win that game. They got Detroit, at Minnesota, Chicago, at Detroit, Dallas, at Oakland, at Arizona, and then Minnesota. Two games that stick out. Dallas game. It's a home game for Green Bay, so they're probably going to win. But Des Bryant and Romo should be back for that one. Yeah. And then at Arizona in Week 16. They might be resting people. But, again, Green Bay's schedule doesn't look that tough.
Them going undefeated, too. I could honestly... I'm not saying they will, obviously, but
I would be
totally surprised with that schedule.
Yep. which is crazy to think that we could literally have 2 undefeated teams, and they could potentially meet in the Super Bowl.
That would be the greatest Super Bowl.
Oh my god!
How badly do you think the NFL wants that? To have the undefeated Patriots going up against the undefeated Packers in the Super Bowl?
The NFL does not want New England anywhere doing anything like that, in my opinion. But let's get into the other 3 undefeated teams. You got Cincinnati at 5-0. They're at Buffalo next week. They'll win that game. And they got a bye. And they're at Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Houston, at Arizona.
Oh my god.
Oh.
I did not see that.
That was a sick catch.
Oh my god.
Super strong.
Triple coverage. Wow. All right. Impressive. So back to Cincinnati. I think they lose at Arizona. I think that'll be the toughest test. And then they have it at Denver back in week 16. I think those are going to be the 2 hardest games. The at Pittsburgh game, and even Pittsburgh at home will be tough. I think Big Ben will be back. Big Ben will be back. But that defense is playing great, and Pittsburgh doesn't have a good defense, and especially when the Cincinnati's offense is playing good. Yeah. But I don't see them going undefeated. Carolina's 4-0. Next week they got at Seattle.
I could see them losing.
I think they lose that game, personally. And if they somehow got by that game, then they have Green Bay at home, which I think they would lose to. Yeah. And then they're at Dallas, and then they got Atlanta at home, and they have at Atlanta later in the season. I don't see them go undefeated. I don't even see them winning their division personally, because they're in a division with Atlanta, right? Yeah. Yep. So that's my opinion.
They get a tough schedule coming.
Yeah.
Up, really tough.
Which brings you to Atlanta too. They're 5-0 at New Orleans, at Tennessee, Tampa Bay, at San Francisco. Then they got a nice bye week. It's nicely put right in the middle of the season. Then they got Indy at home, Minnesota at home, at Tampa Bay, at Carolina, at Jacksonville, then Carolina, then New Orleans back. Their schedule's pretty easy. I could see them losing at Carolina.
Game over.
And I could maybe see them losing to Indy if Indy starts to put this stuff together and Leonard Luck comes back and play well. But that's another team. They have the potential to go 16-0 season. Yeah. Which brings us to our last topic. We're talking about the undefeated. We should probably talk about how the mighty have fallen. Looking at the bottom of the power rankings, the standings, whatever you want to talk about. You got San Francisco looking at 1-4. You got New Orleans looking at 1-4. You got Detroit Lions at 0-5. Baltimore Ravens at 1-4. Kansas City at 1-4. What happened to these teams? I mean, it sucks. It sucks for them. It sucks for us because it's better when the league has more good teams. Yeah. I think this season there's literally only like 6 teams there, which is the undefeated teams really. Yeah. But after that, it's tough. Like there's not a lot of teams that you can like root for that are like decent. All right, you say okay, we'll go top 9. In my opinion, that are good, decent teams. I guess when Dallas comes back with Romo and Dez. But you look at we'll start right here. Like even the Chargers should be included in this. They're 2-3, and they're not playing good. Yeah. Like their defense looked awful. They were good last season, and you had them go up against the Pats. I don't know if you remember that game. That should have been way better. I think the capture did not capture.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention that.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Anyways.
That sucks.
It doesn't matter that much. So yeah, you got the Ravens. The Chargers, they were looking good last season. I don't know what's wrong with them this season. The Ravens, I know they lost Terrell Suggs, but that doesn't... And I guess they don't have Steve Smith.
That hurts enough.
That hurts, but they don't... After that, like there's just like such a lack of talent on those teams. Kansas City should have been doing better so far. They've had a tough schedule.
It's coaching too, I think.
Andy Reid, it could be. And then you look at San Fran. I guess they're the most understandable. The most turnover this season. Yeah. They lost their head coach. They lost like half their defense. Their offense was. They were trying to change it up anyways. I don't know.
All those people retiring out of nowhere kind of hurt them.
Yeah, you can't count for that. Yeah. New Orleans is the biggest though. They're 1-4. Drew Brees does not look good either. He looks hurt still. It kind of sucks because I liked watching him. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks. And then looking at Detroit, I mean, I know they're not like a great team, but they're not 0-5 bad. Yeah. When you have Calvin Johnson on your team, you should at least win a couple games.
You got some good weapons, so.
New running back Abdullah is supposed to be great.
Yeah, but he's in the doghouse because he's fumbling a couple times. You got Golden Tate out there. I mean, it's... I don't know. It's surprising how quickly things can turn. Yeah. And it goes to show teams like the Patriots, like Green Bay, Atlanta. Though Atlanta just turned it around this season after they fired their head coach. Cincinnati, who's been pretty good. They're consistent. And it's good to see consistent teams, I guess. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shows you how much things can change too quickly. So appreciate your mediocre team. Be happy it's not shitty, I guess. But so that's all we have for you this week. Check us out on iTunes. Check us out on SoundCloud. Check us out on YouTube. We have a website. It's lastweekinsports.com. Email us at lastweekinsports@gmail.com. Post comments on anything. Give us some feedback. We're listening to you. If you're out there, we're getting better. We're performing better. It's for you. We do this all for you. So we'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed. Christian,
Jared,
Brandon,
and have a good day, night, morning, whatever.